Welcome back to the show, guys. We are here for another episode at the Bettors Edge. Today, guys, we are covering the national championship game in college football. We have the Miami Hurricanes and the Indiana Hoosiers. This game is being played in Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, guys, but don't get it twisted. This Indiana Hoosiers fan base travels as well as anybody in the country, and I fully expect inside the stadium we're going to see a minimum of 70% Hoosier fans. So when you're considering here which team is going to be the home team as far as support is concerned, I believe the Indiana Hoosiers are going to have the support of 70% plus of the fans in that stadium on Monday night. Right now, this line, guys, is sitting at Hoosiers minus 8.5. This story, if the Hoosiers win this game, is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, rags to riches stories in the history of all of sports. Not just college football, guys, in any sport. Just until earlier this season, this Hoosiers team was the losingest program in all of college football. They're now one win away from having an undefeated season and winning their first ever college football national championship. What a story that would be, and what a story that is probably going to be. However, we're not talking about who's going to win this game outright. We need to talk about who is going to cover the actual number. I see a ton of people, and rightly so, looking at this game and saying this line is too small. The Hoosiers are the best team in the country. They're whooping on every opponent that they face, and that they should be favored by 10 points or more. They're coming off a 34-point victory against a very strong Oregon Ducks team just a week ago. This defense doesn't give up a ton of points. They take the football away. They had a pick six on the very first play of the game last week against Oregon. And on top of all of that, they probably have, most likely at least, the number one pick in Fernando Mendoza in the NFL draft this coming spring. He's also the Heisman Trophy winner. However, let's tap the brakes just a little bit with the love and the hype that we're giving this Hoosiers team. And let me tell you why. This Miami Hurricanes team, in my opinion, matches up very well in a few different areas. There is one major area of concern that I will touch on, but where do they match up well? If there's a place where you can get this Hoosiers defense, in my opinion, I think they can be had on the ground. And we know what this Hurricanes team loves to do. They love to run the ball, they love to shorten the game, and they love to control the clock. If there's one recipe for success for the Hurricanes to keep this game close and to potentially, which I don't expect to happen, but to potentially give them a chance to win the game outright, is for the Hurricanes to have success on the ground and to utilize that massive offensive line that they have and really ground and pound with the run game. On average, guys, the Miami Hurricanes offensive line is 50 pounds heavier than the Indiana front. That is the one opportunity that this Hurricanes team has in keeping this game close. Let's not forget, guys, this Hoosiers team played Ohio State not very long ago in the Big Ten championship game. The Hoosiers won that game 13-10. The Miami Hurricanes just played Ohio State 2 weeks ago. Miami won that game 24-14. I know sports don't always work out this way, but the Ohio State Buckeyes are probably the best team in the country outside of either both of these teams. And if you don't want to consider Miami the second best team in the country, then it would be Ohio State that you would have to consider as the second best team in the country behind Indiana. Does that warrant, based on what we've seen in both of those games, Indiana being favored in this spot by 8.5 points? I'm not so sure if the answer to that question is not no. However, I do have one major area of concern. This Indiana Hoosiers team does not beat themselves, guys. I'm talking about turnovers. I'm talking about penalties. I'm talking about alignment mistakes. I'm talking about mistakes in coverage. This is a very well-coached team. They're not going to make those types of mistakes that I just mentioned. Why do I mention that? This Miami team, penalties. We saw it just last week. They had a ton of penalties. You can't commit those penalties against Indiana and expect to win the game. Coverage breakdowns. We saw them last week against Ole Miss, and Trinidad Chambliss took advantage of that. Mistakes by the quarterback, Carson Beck, in big pressure spots. Even though last week he came through in the clutch and was able to win the game, he still has a little bit of a propensity to turn the football over. You can't do that against this Indiana team and expect to be competitive. That's the major red flag that I have when looking at this game and thinking about backing the Miami Hurricanes. With all of that said, guys, if, and it's a big if, Carson Beck can take care of the football and Miami can minimize their penalties, I fully expect for Miami to have success on the ground, to control this game and keep this game competitive at Hard Rock Stadium. It's a 5-star play for me. It's my biggest bet this entire weekend, if you will, in football, NFL, and college. It's the only 5-star pick that I have. Give me the Miami Hurricanes playing in Miami, most likely in front of a majority Hoosiers crowd, as I mentioned earlier, and covering the 8.5 points. Guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. If you haven't already, like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll be back shortly for more winners.